All right, IBO Sports Network. Such a time as this, we got a lot of stuff going on. Coming up in the national championship, we got a few coach hires for Clemson. We got a lot of stuff going on with the basketball. We got a game with Georgia Tech tonight at 9 o'clock. It's a late game on the ACC network. And baseball is just in the midst. It's about to come up. So, and we may be doing a national championship show in Anderson. We will know tomorrow whether it's official or not. So I've got Rowdy Tiger on here. This is sponsored by the Wilhite House. And headed to Clemson tomorrow. Drum up some business. Let's go Tigers.
That's right. I don't know. This national championship game looks to be a good matchup. I will be pulling for Notre Dame. You won't ever hear me say that very often, but I just cannot pull for Ohio State.
You'll never hear you say I'm pulling for Ohio State, all right?
An interesting fact, and I've tried to research this, and I can't find anything definitive, at least for sure, in the last 20 years, that both teams in the national championship were not conference champions of that season.
That's interesting.
Notre Dame is not in a conference, so that they don't have a conference championship. And Ohio State, being part of the Big Ten, did not win or attend the Big Ten championship. So in all of what I can find, now I'm sure there's probably some, other search engines or spots to look. I can't find, at least within the last 20 years, that a national championship had both teams not a conference champion. Now, there's been Alabama, who did not go to their conference championship but won a national championship.
Right.
And that happened twice.
Yeah.
Twice in the modern. Well, I take that back. Once in the modern playoff system, and once before not in the playoff system.
Yeah, it's the 12-team playoff is interesting. I think we've talked about this. We talked about it before it even started. I think it's for the good. It's more football.
I love the
gives the Cinderella team a chance to get in that wins wins their thing. I mean, technically,
the thing is like none of the real Cinderella teams were given a chance. I mean, it was SEC and Big Ten teams that were given a chance that were not going to the conference championship. The only teams that were in the ACC that both were in the conference championship was SMU and Clemson. Clemson winning, obviously. Right. And then you have Notre Dame, an independent that's not, in a conference. So did they get it right? It was almost really like looked at as the Big Ten SEC Invitational.
Well, did they get it right? Who did Ohio State beat and who did Notre Dame beat?
Well, Notre Dame played
SMU. Killed them, right? SMU.
Who did Notre Dame play first?
SMU, I think.
No, it was Indiana. They played Indiana, a Big Ten team.
And they played SMU, right?
No, SMU was Penn State.
Penn State. Okay.
But that's my point. Is like, you had Indiana, Big Ten. You have Penn State, Big Ten. Ohio State, Big Ten. Oregon, Big Ten. Then you got, on the SEC side, you had Tennessee. You had Georgia. You had what did I say? Tennessee. You had Tennessee. You had Georgia. You had Texas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, it was Notre Dame, Clemson, and SMU outside those. So did they get it right? I don't know. It just seemed like They were putting all Big Ten and SEC teams in.
Yeah, well, go back to basketball, 1984, NC State had like a 500 record going into the ACC tournament. Won the ACC tournament, Cinderella team with Jim Valvano, and won the whole thing. So I'm thinking if you've got a system set up, the way the math works and who you play, it really doesn't matter. If you win 1, 2, 3, 4 games and you get in the finals and you win, who's to say NC State won the best team in 1984? It had 64 teams. NC State would have not made the basketball March Madness had they not won the ACC.
But basketball's different.
Is it?
Because look at it like this. Basketball, you have 64 teams that get in the first round.
Right.
So
but NC State at that time
have teams
ranked around 50th or something.
You have teams that you never heard of. Gonzaga, they're not in football. You've got, UConn, they're not in football. You got what was
okay, let's do this.
What's the school right here next to Gastonia? Oh my gosh, I cannot think of the name of the school right now.
UNC Charlotte?
No. This one's over north of Gastonia. It's like the tiniest school in the world, and they've made the
Erskine?
No. Oh my gosh, what's the name of that daggone school?
It's in Rock Hill?
No. It's in like Cherryville, Shelby area, North Carolina. Oh my gosh, it's gonna kill me now.
Winthrop?
No, Winthrop's in Rock Hill. Okay. But they've made the bracket before.
Yeah, well.
All right. My gosh.
All right, let's say we didn't have a 12-team playoff. Who are the top 4 teams going in?
Say what?
Who are the top 4 teams going in if we did not have a playoff this year? It was
top 4 if we
Oregon,
didn't. Oregon, you have to.
Texas?
They were undefeated.
Huh? Yeah, you had Texas.
Oregon, you would have to. They were undefeated and conference championship.
4 teams before we would. 4 top teams, top 4 ranked teams at the end of the year were Oregon, Georgia.
At this end right now.
No, before we went in, after everything was said and done, before we started playoffs, 4 top teams were Oregon, Georgia.
It was Oregon, Georgia, SMU, and Boise State.
And Boise.
Those were the teams that had the 4-round bye week.
Okay, top 4 teams. If we didn't have the expanded playoffs, we had 4 teams, right?
Yeah,
Oregon, Boise
those
State.
were the first 4 teams. The first team, they were the 4 conference champions to have a bye week, so they weren't the final 4 teams.
I don't care about the conferences. I'm talking about the top 4 teams. Oregon, number 1. Ohio State's number 2.
Give me one quick second here.
I mean, it's Ohio State, Oregon, I think Texas, and I want to say Georgia.
Okay. So
I'm just trying to prove a point here.
Yeah. So in the first round, bye.
I'm talking about the last top 4 ranked
Georgia.
teams.
The last 4?
The last ranked 4 teams. I don't care about the getting in the college playoffs. I'm talking about before they even announced the college playoffs. The last ranking. After they had the conference championships. Oregon's number 1. Oregon was 1.
Oregon was number 1.
State was 2.
Oregon was number 1. Georgia was number 2.
Okay.
Boise State was number 3. And
State had to be
Arizona State was number 4. So
the ranking.
That was the rankings.
Before we started playoffs.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why they got the first bye week. That's why they had the first round bye.
So what team in there in the top 4 are still in the national championship?
None.
So that's where I'm going with it. They played the other teams expanded and they lost them. You got the 2 best teams.
But I'm not. I love the system. I love the system. I love 12-team system.
I do too.
I don't like how they chose the teams. It was like the most popular teams got in. And you're looking at let's see. I mean, Arizona State, did they deserve to be in the top 4? I don't think so.
They gave Texas a hell of a game.
Did Tennessee deserve to be in the top 4?
What I'm getting at is you get to the end of the season and you got to pick somebody. And somebody's got to play somebody and somebody. You got a little mix in there. And after everything clears out, the mess clears out, you've got 2 teams left. Just like when I was going with the basketball team, NC State, where they ended up beating Houston. They beat, the 5 Bama Jamma. They beat who else? They beat Michael.
Yeah.
They beat NC State. I mean, they beat North Carolina with Michael Jordan. I mean, I'm just saying, once you get in the mix, you've got nothing. No math's going to work out perfectly where everybody's going to play. But I mean,
in basketball, you've got 64 teams that play in the first round.
All right, so we've got Ohio State.
Okay. If you took the 64 teams in football, you're now giving a team like Memphis.
Don't we normally in basketball, even though we got 64 teams, they play a lot more. We normally, except for like the NC State in '84, we normally get somewhere in there the top 2 teams.
Well, yeah,
normally. I mean, in the top 4 or 5.
For the longest time, a 1 seed was never beaten by a low seed, like the last seed in basketball. The number 1 seed had never been beaten by the last seed.
We got Notre Dame and we got Ohio State.
Until a few years ago, the last seed knocked off the number 1 seed.
So we got Notre Dame and Ohio State. Who besides Ohio State and who besides Notre Dame, who besides Ohio State can beat Notre Dame or could have beaten Notre Dame?
Besides Ohio State?
And they hadn't played yet.
Well, no, but I mean, a lot of teams. A lot of teams can be. I mean, any team can beat any team on any given day.
Well, I know. I mean, there's no perfect. What I'm getting is no perfect system. I mean, Clemson on a good day,
system, but I just feel like the way they were selected, the teams that were selected, were not necessarily needing to be like. I don't feel like they should have been in there.
Like Boise State,
like Tennessee. Do you think Tennessee should have been in there?
If I had Tennessee, Boise State, and Arizona State, I would say Tennessee would probably deserve it above them. But
I mean, Arizona State. Hold on. Huh? Tennessee was not a conference champion and did not play in the conference championship game. Arizona State played their conference championship and won their conference championship.
So you think Tennessee would have beat Boise State or Arizona State?
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, should Tennessee have been in the playoff?
I don't. At the beginning of the season, I would say yes. At the end, I'd say no.
Like I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tennessee played Ohio State and lost 42-17.
Yeah.
In the first round.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did anyone expect Ohio State to beat Oregon as bad as they did?
No, especially since Oregon beat them first game of the season. Oregon beat Ohio State.
Right. That's my point.
Oregon didn't lose a game, but Ohio State.
Obviously, Oregon deserved to be there. Okay.
Right.
Undefeated. They were the only undefeated team in the playoffs.
It wasn't even a close game. I mean, it was a blowout.
Right.
They tried to come back there in the second half. It was basically a blowout.
Now, what would the story have been if Ohio State didn't make it? They didn't play in their own. They lost to Michigan. They had lost to Oregon.
And Michigan didn't get in.
Season. Okay.
Right? Yeah. Michigan didn't make it. Michigan
really was like one of the worst teams in the Big Ten
Michigan
this year.
didn't make top 25, did they?
No. But that's my point. So Ohio State loses to Oregon.
So who knows? I mean, that's why you can't ever figure this thing out. Michigan beat Ohio State. Oregon beat Ohio State. But Ohio State may win it all, and everybody says Ohio State's the best team in the nation. And Michigan can beat anybody. They were like, what, barely over 500. I guess that's
like
what
I
makes
said,
it interesting. You can't put Michigan in because they beat Ohio State because they were, what, 7-6 or something. 75 or I don't know.
So
they weren't that good. But they beat Ohio State.
Hold on. Let me
and then you got North Illinois, who I didn't even know they existed until they killed Notre Dame.
I think honestly, I think Notre Dame just was looking at the fact, it's Northern Illinois. We don't need to worry about them. Blah blah blah.
And it's a rival game too. It's like Clemson, Carolina, or Alabama and Auburn. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oregon won. Oregon beat them the first time by 1 point. It was 32-31 was the final score. All right.
Michigan?
No, Oregon beat Ohio State in
the
regular season 32-31. It was like by 1 point.
Right.
Okay. And they crushed Penn State 20-13. The only other closest game they had was against Indiana, which was 38-15. They crushed them, Why did Indiana make it to the playoffs then, And then they lose 13-10 to Michigan. But, no one really expected Ohio State to do what they did in the playoffs like they did. And, it's kind of like.
Well, you have teams that sometimes start out their peak and then they, for whatever reason, at the end of the season,
and I agree with that.
You had Colorado last year, and Deion Sanders came on board, and they were 5-6-0, and they were ranked top 10. Everybody, and then they went on a downward spiral. A lot of it's momentum. What's going on? Somebody gets hurt, whatever happens, and Ohio State seems to be clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But do you think Ohio State should have made it? They lost to Oregon, and they lost to Michigan. Only 2 losses. Did not play in the conference championship.
They're one of my least favorite teams, but honestly, for a football mind, I think they're probably the best team right now in college.
Right now, yes.
If I was betting money, now I'm pulling for Michigan. I'm pulling for Notre Dame, but I wouldn't bet money on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And I hope Notre Dame can some way pull it off. But, I don't know, man. Sports are funny. It's just like anything else. You're a good golf player. A lot of it's momentum, man. You start off bad. You start off good, you end up playing good. You start off bad, you got to correct yourself and get better. And it's kind of like that with football sometimes,
Yeah.
Well,
and that's
we got 2 teams in there lost, 2 games? Notre Dame's lost, 2 games?
1.
1. Okay, that's right. 1.
Ohio State has lost 2 versus Oregon and Michigan. Notre Dame, their only loss was to Northern Illinois.
What do we have, 7-5 Ohio State? Vegas, have you seen anything?
I've not seen the odds on the prediction, but
all right. So it is what it is. A week from now, we'll know who the national champion is. We hope it's our Notre Dame. But we also got some other news going on in Clemson. And I'm actually more excited about Clemson football this coming year than I have been in a while.
Yeah.
With the new hire.
There was some definitely big breaking news as of yesterday.
I thought it would have. And, everybody's coming back. We got a running back position, but we got some backups there. Should be okay. But Cade's coming back. And we got a new DC. In case you've been living
Tom Allen from Penn State will be the new. It was confirmed on multiple sources, TigerNet, all of them. Confirmed that Tom Allen has been hired as the DC for Clemson football.
And I've been doing a little bit of research on him. He was 5th in rushing in defense. He's 7th in total defense, which is pretty good.
Especially because of our rushing game.
Huh?
Our run defense has been very lax.
Oh, it's terrible. That Texas game was terrible. And like I said in the last podcast, we got the talent. We just need some coaching there.
I've seen a lot of fans reacting to the hire, mostly all positive.
Yeah. And Penn State is actually a
Most
lot
are
of their
saying
fans
like,
are freaking
we're
out
going to
about
win it all next year. I don't know if that's going to happen next year. I would love, by all means, I'd love to go to the national championship and win it next year. I just don't know if the change will happen that quickly. I mean, look, it took Garrett Riley 2 seasons to get his, grasp on the team.
Right.
I feel like it's going to take a little bit of time to get Tom Allen's grasp on the team, and then maybe not this coming year, maybe the next year. I don't know. I'm not
I think
expecting
it was a good.
I'm
I
not
think it was a
expecting
good.
a national championship next year.
I'm
You know what I'm
expecting this to
saying?
be better. I'm expecting this to be better than we were last year. This year, I mean.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good hire. They're actually going to officially announce it at 1:30 tomorrow on at the Smart Family Media Center, 1:30. So they're going to live. It's going to be live, stream live on Clemson Plus. He's had 3 decades of coaching. He had 2 pick sixes against SSU. They actually held Ashton Gentry, that running back.
Yeah.
That almost beat Barry Sanders' record for a season low in the playoffs of 3.47 yards. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. I'd be more excited if Venables was coming back, but I think this is this is a good change. We needed this.
Oh yeah.
And we were complaining at the beginning of the season about the offense. I think the offense has kind of come to its, come to fruition. I mean, I think we're doing okay.
That and the fact you got the 2 freshmen,
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't suffer from what's called the sophomore blues.
Right.
And that is, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but you have this breakout freshman, all right?
Yeah.
And then the very next year, their sophomore year, it's like they're like, blah, blah, and they call them the sophomore blues.
You talking about Wesco
and TJ Moore and
Antonio Williams is coming back. A lot of people, we're not losing a lot of people. I mean,
yeah.
We
lose Brenning Stoll.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost a couple offensive line, I believe.
Yeah.
They declared for the draft. Antonio Williams is coming back.
He's coming back. He's solid, man.
You got Antonio Williams, you got Wesco, you got TJ Moore. I have not heard anything on Adam Randall. I have not heard anything on
Adam Randall is coming back, actually.
What's the other guy's name? Stellato transferred, so Stellato's gone.
Yeah.
Then we've got the transfer portal guys coming in, so that's good.
Let me see.
But I'm excited. I can't wait for spring, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that's just right around the corner. Actually, we'll do a show. I'm not sure where. We'll have a show for that. Let me look up something real quick. All right.
And I think we opened the season against Louisville. I mean, not Louisville.
Oh, LSU. At
LSU. I was thinking Louisiana, and it came out Louisville.
Well, I'm excited about that. I mean, it's not only a great game, but it's at Death Valley. It's not some neutral location that like Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz.
No, that's what I think
it should be. I could be wrong because I don't know everybody else's schedule, but it should be an ESPN game day. I mean, it should be a 3:30 or night game. I'm hoping.
You think it would.
You'd think it would be.
You think it would.
Man, I'm just looking at some stuff. Oh, all right. So we talked about Jeremiah Alexander last week from Alabama. He's a beast. He's coming on board. Tony Williams resigns. I'm just looking at some stuff. Not a lot, because we did a podcast Thursday. Not a lot has changed, except we got a new DC.
Basketball team's looking good. I mean, I enjoyed watching the win over Florida State. Hey, they had the same record as us, same amount of losses.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see them dominate that game. I'm not sure if there's you said there was a game tonight, right?
Yeah, they played 9:00 at Georgia Tech. on the ACC network.
No,
I mean, when Clemson's on this year, I think we're as good as anybody. I think we can beat Duke or anybody. We've had a couple off games. We've had a couple games. We've had 2 games go into triple. One went in double overtime. One went triple overtime. And one of those was South Carolina. And then we've had a couple games, I think, where we're traveling. We were tired.
South Carolina went into overtime, which was
a couple bad plays. I mean, threw the ball away. We actually did a podcast that night because you remember
we lost 91-88 in that game.
Overtime.
Then we went on to beat Wake Forest 73-62, and then Stanford 85-71, and then we beat Cal 80-68. Lost to Louisville.
Yeah. We played I was at the game. We played like a 10 o'clock game. I got home from Spartanburg like 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 days later in Louisville, and I think they're just tired. They didn't play good. I think they're a better team than Louisville. Louisville's not a bad team, but I think you got Duke and you got Clemson and you got all the rest in basketball. And after that run with the Elite Eight last year, been a Clemson fan, we really haven't seen a good run in basketball in a while. I think we got some momentum in basketball. I think we got a chance this year. And I think for the next couple of years we do. We're recruiting good. You got the NIL coming in. We got to get some transfer players. So it's fun to have basketball where it's not like, oh, God, here we go again. So I think that spark last year's kind of elevated us to the next level. And we got baseball, starting the end of February, 1st March?
It's something like April, March. Something
it's like, I think it's the last of February. In first,
I just hate that we're out of the top 25 in AP and coaches poll.
In baseball,
we do have others. We are receiving votes, so we're not far outside the top 25.
Where did you see that at? I thought we were in the top 10 in baseball.
Oh no, I'm talking about basketball.
Oh, basketball.
Yeah,
that's biased.
We just got out of the top 25, but we are receiving votes, so we're.
I mean, they had North Carolina like 3 start out the year. They lost 7?
Yeah.
Baseball, I think we're ranked at 8. Last I saw.
Right now, AP top 25 is Auburn at number 1, Iowa State at number 2, 3 at Duke. No, this is basketball. You keep switching on me. You keep talking about baseball, basketball. You keep switching it on me.
All right, go ahead. Basketball.
Yeah, well, basketball.
No, we're not. We're a top 10. I don't care what the damn polls say. I'm telling you right now, Clemson is a top 10 basketball team.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
I just say
I think we're definitely better than. I mean, you got Gonzaga at 14-4.
Hey, what are the top 10?
But we've got basically the same record. I don't know why we're not in. Let's see who's really the worst ranked team.
What are the top 10 teams of basketball? You got pulled up.
What top 10 is Auburn at number 1, Iowa State number 2, Duke number 3, Alabama number 4, Florida at 5, Tennessee at 6, Marquette at 7, Kentucky at 8, Kansas at 9, Houston at 10, Texas A&M is starting the outside the top 10. But we beat Kentucky. They're 13-3. And they're still in the top
12-4, and we had a couple weird games.
Yeah.
I remember beating Kentucky. Yeah, at Little John. That was back in that was before Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, Auburn right now looks pretty strong. I mean, they've only got one loss.
Yeah, Auburn and Alabama. I know they're SEC, but they've had some pretty solid teams.
Alabama's got 2 losses, and Iowa. So the only 2 teams there's 3 teams.
Auburn's actually. 1. Who's 2?
Number 2 is Iowa State with 1 loss. They're 14-1. Then Florida. Florida is 15-1. Duke is number 3. They're at 14-2.
Yeah, Duke's good.
Yeah. And then Alabama 14-2, and then Florida at number 5 with 15-1. Tennessee 15-1. Which all them teams are going to play each other. So.
Yeah. Well, what are we at? January 14th.
Yeah.
Got February, and then we have March Madness. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Clemson and Duke in the ACC championship. I don't know why, man. I just feel good about it. We're going to win the ACC championship this year. I don't know about the rest of it. We haven't only done it one time. Clemson's only won the ACC championship one time.
In basketball?
Basketball, yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It's been a while. So it's time to win it.
Yeah.
But we went to the Elite Eight last year. And so.
I mean, we got to the Elite Eight without winning a conference championship. I mean,
No, we lost the ball. Yeah, no, we lost to Boston College in the first round. I was like, man, it's over with. Our basketball team, I give up, man. We're terrible. We're never going. I fired the coach. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we win the first round. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Win the second round. Said, all right, man. Win third round. I said, let's get pretty interesting. Now we won the fourth round. I'm like, damn, this is exciting. So, and we didn't lose anybody really. TJ Hall.
Yeah, I know we lost the one guy, the big guy, but I mean, and he stepped it up.
And we got that 7-footer Victor, and I mean, we've got a great team actually. And Scheffler was hurt a little bit.
He's watching the Florida State game. They said he was suffering from back spasms or something like that,
hamstring or something.
Yeah,
but no.
Now, if you want to know the baseball opening day, it's going to be February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Wow, Valentine's Day. Couple weeks.
That's versus Oklahoma State.
Dude, I knew at Clemson.
I believe it says versus Oklahoma State.
Dude, I knew it was in February. I remember being an opening game.
Oklahoma State, or it's going to be a neutral site.
Right.
Because then the very next day they play Arizona, and then the day after that they play Ole Miss. So I'm assuming this is going to be some kind of tournament.
Yeah, they always start out like a tournament.
Probably like some kind of neutral field tournament.
Yeah, they do that. They do that in basketball and football. Clemson always starts off some weird tournament down in Florida.
And then it looks like
but I do remember being at a baseball game. It's 29 degrees in 2020. It was opening day at Clemson.
Yeah. But, well, then they come, February 19th. It's in orange, which usually indicates a home game.
Yeah.
It's Presbyterian at 4:00. But then it says right after that, the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd is all TBA. So what it sounds like is it's another tournament, so they don't know who they play until as they progress.
Right.
And then they got Winthrop at home on the 25th, and then South Carolina on the 28th. And then the very next the very next day, 3-1, March 1st, they play South Carolina again at South Carolina.
Okay. Carolina's usually got a good team.
Yeah.
Let me look at something.
We're playing a 3-game series against South Carolina.
Okay. And what they do that every year. They'll play one at Clemson. They'll play one at Carolina. They'll play one at Greenville.
Yeah. It's not showing on here as to which game it just says versus South Carolina, at South Carolina, versus – I take that back. I read that wrong. It's versus USC Upstate.
Spartanburg.
So it's versus South Carolina. So it says Orange, South Carolina. Then it says versus South Carolina. And then it says at South Carolina. Then it says versus USC Upstate.
Okay. But we'll play Carolina. We'll play one at Clemson. We always do 3 games. One at Clemson, one at Carolina, and one over at what's the field over there?
Like a neutral site kind of thing.
Well, it's the Drive, the Greenville Drive, where the Boston Red Sox farm team plays there.
Yeah.
Downtown Greenville. Yeah. I've gone there.
That's pretty cool. They do that every year. I don't know if that's what's going to happen this year, if it's set that way. More details will probably come out like later as to specifics, because they didn't have times set. So then they go on a really long home stretch.
In baseball?
Yeah, it's like 1, 2.
Yeah, I'll be there, man. If I'm in town, I'll stop up. Baseball is easy to go to. It's cheap. All right, so basketball, we got
it's like 17 games straight.
17?
Yeah. 17 straight games at home.
And it's what, 17 away?
No, it goes like Georgia Tech, 3 games at Georgia Tech, a game at Georgia Southern, and then 3 games at California. So they will be traveling to California on April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
I'm
and
never
then they
gonna
come
wrap
back
my head
home
around.
for like a 7-game stretch. Yeah, I mean, if this is
Dude, I mean,
accurate,
money's money, but stupidity is stupidity. And it's California, and it's SMU, and it's what's the other team? Stanford.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't make
they're not
sense.
playing. They're not. They play Stanford at home.
It just doesn't make sense.
The only
I mean, maybe in
games
the
they're
NFL
having
or
to go.
something, but I mean, it doesn't make sense in college football or college
Yeah,
basketball that we got to travel all
maybe
over
I don't know
California.
if SMU doesn't have a baseball team, but they do not have SMU scheduled.
They've got a baseball team.
Well, they're not
Their baseball
scheduled.
team actually went. I think they made almost the World Series one time. They got a decent baseball team.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right,
I
so
mean,
basketball, we played Georgia
baseball
Tech.
doesn't play them, so.
Okay. We
But
played Georgia.
it's like they got 3 games versus Davidson, then 2 games against Liberty, and then 3 games against Notre Dame, 2 games
Isn't
against
Davidson?
Citadel.
Where's Davidson located? It's in North Carolina, right?
Yeah. And then
What?
you got
Where
3
in North
games against
Carolina is
Wake
it?
Forest, and then a Coastal Carolina game and a Presbyterian game. And all those are at home, all in a row. They literally play at home from March 7th until March the 26th. All home
Okay.
games.
Wow. All right, so looking at basketball, we got a 9:00 game, Georgia Tech on the ACC network. Starts in about 45 minutes. And then we got a game Saturday at Pittsburgh away, and then Syracuse comes back next week. January 22nd, Wednesday.
Yeah.
We play Syracuse at home. For some revenge there. Then we go away and play Virginia Tech on 25th. NC State February the 1st at NC State, and then Georgia Tech is coming into Clemson on February the 4th, and the big game will be February the 8th at 8 p.m. at Little John, and I believe that is a Saturday game. I'm going to that game.
Is that the Duke game?
Yeah, at Little John, and then UNC comes in. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. UNC comes in on Monday and plays us at Clemson. I mean, UNC is usually a big game, and I think they're not the UNC we normally know. And then we play Florida State.
You think they can beat Duke?
Dude, I think we're going to upset them. I don't know why. I've been feeling it. Now, we play SMU in Texas, in Dallas, on February 22nd. I'm not sure how good their basketball team is. Then Notre Dame comes in town. Then Virginia. We get into March. March 1st, Virginia. We play in Virginia. We play Boston College away. Virginia Tech comes in on the 8th. And then that's the end of the season.
Yep.
March 8th, Virginia Tech gets Clemson.
And then you got the March Madness begins.
Yep. And I think we're going to be up there. I think we're making the Final Four.
I definitely feel
I'm not saying we're going to win it. We're making the Final Four. You heard it here first.
I definitely feel like we'll definitely make the 64-team round.
Yeah. We got that.
Well, depending on where we get seated, I definitely believe we'll make it. I could see us going to the Final Four with the team that we have.
Yeah. We've got a hell of a defense, 3-point shooting. We got Chef. I mean, as long as we don't have a lot of turnovers and make our free throws, we're good.
Yeah.
I think that's what's hurt us. We've had a lot of turnovers, a lot of fouls and stuff, but besides that, I think we can stand up against anybody.
So, did you did you see the interview from Deion Sanders?
I knew you were going to ask me that, being a Dallas fan. I've heard of it. I will always be a Dallas Cowboy fan. I always take hell for being a Dallas Cowboy fan. I started rooting for them in '77 when they were winning Super Bowls, and Jerry Jones was not the owner. I was on the Dallas Cowboys Facebook page today, and 98% of everything they said is it doesn't matter. Jerry freaking Jones is the problem. He's a smart guy. The guy is not a football mind.
What I'm referring to is I'm referring to his son.
Oh, you got me started. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just can't stand Jerry
I just
Jones.
didn't know if you had seen the story because I find this just absolutely hilarious.
So this has nothing to do with Dallas.
No.
I got off he interviewed with Jerry Jones Monday.
It might have something to do with Dallas.
Even if Dallas hires Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones hires Deion Sanders, which would be great. Jerry Jones is not going to let Deion Sanders do what he needs to do to win.
No, Deion's not getting hired by Dallas. I can tell you that. But the interview he gave, and it was on a talk show, one of those, where he's sitting on the couch and they're sitting in a chair kind of thing.
Okay.
They asked him about his thoughts on his son, being drafted.
Yeah.
And Deion Sanders straight out said, there are certain teams I will not allow him to be drafted by.
Don't tell
and
me
I'm like,
how do you, one of them?
He did not say which team. He literally said
he will
not be going to certain teams. He's like, I'm telling you now, if they try to draft him, if it's a team that I do not want him to go to, he will not be going to that team.
Right.
And I'm like, how are you going to sit here and dictate which team your son's going to go to? And they are like, why are you doing that? Like, are you not going to allow him to make his own decisions? And he said, no. I know the game. I know the behind the scenes. Right. I know what it's take. He goes, I will not allow my son to go to certain teams. Basically because of who's coaching and who's the owner.
That was literally problem.
He didn't say that directly, but that's what he implied.
Yeah.
And the lady, this is what was funny. The lady said, well, what if he doesn't listen? And he turned around and went, who? And they're like, he's like, you talking about my son? No, he knows.
If Deion Sanders went to Dallas, you know Deion Sanders' personality. He went to Dallas. Jerry Jones can control him.
I just can't believe that this man is going to control where his son goes. And honestly,
it usually doesn't work that way. Usually you go to the draft and somebody picks you.
I will laugh my butt off if no one drafts him. Basically because of his father. Like if I was a team, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to draft him just simply because of what his father's telling.
In the NFL draft, you ever somebody get drafted and say, no, I'm not signing it. I'm waiting.
There was a guy.
Well, Trevor got drafted by what? You look at some of the first round draft picks, they always get drafted by the worst team, right?
Well,
Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's who gets the first round draft picks.
No, I'm not going to.
First round draft picks go to the worst teams.
The worst team. It ain't like college. The best people in college go to the best teams.
There was a guy, who was it that he said he was not going to go? It was like,
but have you ever seen that happen? I guess it
was back in the 80s. There was this whole controversy that it was a team that drafted him. They traded up to get the number one pick or get a pick, and they wanted to draft him, and he was basically saying like no. And I cannot remember, and he was like refusing to go to their training camps or something. Oh my God, I saw a story about this like a few months ago. And I can't remember who it was now. I think he ended up playing for him, but it was like this whole controversy. Like he was like
Deion Sanders' his son's name's Shador?
Schroeder or something like that.
Schroeder, whatever it was.
Schroeder, Shador, something like that.
So who's the worst team in the NFL?
Right now, I believe it's going to be Chicago.
Is it Chicago? So Chicago Bears in the first round draft. Shador Sanders.
Which I'm telling you right now, I don't know.
I'm not going.
First off,
they can't make him go, but you've never seen that happen.
First off, he is definitely not a number one round pick.
He's not. Well, second round, third round, doesn't matter.
I don't even know if he'll make it that far. I think he'll be an undrafted.
Well, I'm just saying, this has never happened. Third round, fourth round, fifth round, Chicago Bears or whoever. Cleveland Browns, one of these crappy teams. Draft. New York Giants are pretty bad. Draft Shador.
Well, I don't know if you heard, speaking of Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson injured his Achilles, and they're saying it's jeopardizing the season, next year's season.
I heard that, man. He's had a hell of a time.
Yeah.
Since he left Clemson, hasn't he? I mean, it's sad. I like Sean. We should get together.
I felt like he was going to have big things happen. And, look, he took Texas to the playoffs that year. And it was like everything was starting to click.
And he was up for MVP
and then all
that
of a
one
sudden,
year.
he wanted out of Texas. And the second that he wanted out of Texas, all this stuff.
He goes to Cleveland, becomes the highest paid guy up to Dak Prescott, and all these allegations. One lady comes forward, and then it's like, and then I don't believe he did that.
I don't know. There's a lot of fishiness around the whole situation. So.
There it is. He's got a lot of money. He's a good looking dude. He's rich. He could have any. I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I wish.
All right. So.
All right.
Basketball 9 o'clock tonight versus Georgia Tech on the ACC Network.
We will
big news there. Great hires in the defensive side. So
yeah, we're looking at Electric City Pizza. The guy's a big Irish fan, Notre Dame fan. I talked to him a couple of times about a Clemson game, but I'm pretty sure he's going to go with it. We will probably be doing a live show in downtown Anderson Monday for the game.
And then you got the national championship game Monday.
And then we got the spring game coming up. Just right around the corner, actually. Yeah. April something 1st through 15th. So we're getting closer to football. Even though we're not officially out of football.
Yeah. Championship game Monday starting at 7:30 on ESPN. I like it when they do ESPN because I like that megacast thing that they do. Yeah. I always have 2 TVs going, one with the main TV, and then I usually have the stats.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When Clemson played, didn't we play like at 9 o'clock or something? I mean, 7:30 is better than 9.
7:30. Well, it's a Monday, so
yeah. I mean, I never
feel like when Clemson played, it was always like around 8:30 when they finally.
Yeah. So I like it a little bit earlier because I know. There's Clemson games when we played, man. I
wish they would stop playing the damn game on Monday night.
It's still Saturday.
On Saturday night.
Why is it on Monday?
I think the reason why. No, I think the reason why is because you got the NFL playoffs.
They've always done the national championship on Monday, though. Always.
I know it's always on Monday, but I believe it has something to do with the playoffs because NFL plays games on Saturday and Sundays during the playoffs.
It might. And it has something to do with money, I think. But Saturday night would be the best time to do a national championship. And if you're a fan going to the game, who wants to travel out to California or New Orleans on a Monday night and you got a business or a job to get to the next day? If
they're worried about NFL playoff games on Saturday and Sunday, then play the game on Friday night.
Yeah. Well, the Super Bowl is always on Sunday night, which is normal. But college football is always on Saturday, usually. Most college football games are on Saturday. Most NFL games are on Sunday. And then the Super Bowl is on Sunday, but college wants to go to Monday night, which is Monday's like the weirdest night to have a game, I think. But anyhow, it is what it is.
So, go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Popping, kicking, laughing. I bleed ours, baby. We're growing. We're kicking. We're popping. Best year ever.
Georgia Tech tonight.
Yeah, check out Tigers on ACC Network in about 30 minutes.
All right.
See you next time. Go Tigers.